What's up, metalheads? My name's Jamie. This is the Blades and EDC channel. Thank you guys so much for being here, for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. If you're new, please consider subscribing. Make lots of cool knife videos, and I've got a whole lot of knives to come. Some really interesting ones that I think everyone will really enjoy. And yeah, today I've got a pretty cool little knife here. This is the SOG Terminus XR. Don't see a whole lot of love for SOG out there these days. They make a lot of very cheap, I don't know, just cheap Chinese knives, you know. A lot of their models are. Earlier this year, they did a press conference at Blade Show West, I believe it was, showing the new models that were going to come this year, and they were working on, you know, improving everything, changing the clips where it's not this ugly SOG clip, and they're going to take out the billboarding on the blade. Blade HQ, I believe, has had that video up. They interviewed them. They show a bunch of new models. None of that stuff has came out yet, and that was early in the year. And now we're in middle of October, and still I'm not seeing a lot of those knives that they showed there. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but this is one of the not older, but the older Terminus XR. It's supposed to be a new version coming out. I don't know if it's out yet or not. I can't find it if it is, but people complained a lot about this knife because of the billboarding and the pocket clip, and they had some other issues also. But this is actually not a terrible knife, as long as you like using the flipper. If you like thumb studs, it's probably not going to be for you. I'll get into that a little more in a minute, but let's go ahead and give you some specs on it real quick and do some size comparisons. All right, the close length is 4 1/4 inches. Blade length is just under 3 inches at 2.95 inches. They call this G10 carbon fiber. It's kind of, it pisses me off when companies do this. This is not carbon fiber, okay? This is G10 with like a piece of carbon fiber tape over top of it. There's no thickness whatsoever to it. It's kind of false advertising, in my opinion, to do that, because this is not carbon fiber. G10 scale. Does have S35V and blade steel. Have a flat grind about 2/3 the way up the blade with a swedge on top here with some nice jimping on top. The weight is 3.2 ounces. The blade thickness is 100 thousandths, so it is pretty slicey. Overall length is 7.21 inches. And yeah, it's a clip point blade. And instead of calling this G10 and carbon fiber, we're just going to call this G10 because that's what it is. All right, let's talk a little. Well, let's do some size comparisons, and we'll talk a little more about it. Here it is against the Benchmade Bug Out. Here it is against the Benchmade Griptilian. Here is the cannot remember the model of this one. Hogue Ritter. Basically a Griptilian, but it's Hogue's version. I cannot remember what they call it off the top of my head. I'm having a brain fart at the moment. What else we got here that people will recognize? We'll go ahead and do the QSP Penguin. Very similar in length to the Penguin. Actually, very similar in size. Two very different blade shapes, but very similar in size to a QSP Penguin. Here's the Demco AD 20.5. Here is the Vist Blade Works variant PE2. Another knife that's very similar in size too. Thickness, length, everything. Very similar in size. So that should give you guys a good idea on the size there. Alright, let's talk about this knife. Let's talk about the bad first. The bad, the G10 carbon fiber nonsense, that's bad. But it doesn't affect the way the knife works or feels. So that's just an aesthetics thing, kind of a false advertising thing. This clip, although it works well, it is a super, super deep carry clip. I mean, this thing is going to be hanging in your pocket, you know what I mean? It's going to be really deep in your pocket. So if you like a really deep carry, then you may like this. I personally don't like it to go quite that deep. It makes it harder to pull it out of your pocket when you need to get it. But it does hold well in your pocket, go in and out, and it goes in and out of the pocket really well. So the tabs on there, they call this the XR lock. So it's basically a crossbar lock or axis lock like Benchmade uses. I do like their tabs a lot. They're very grippy and comfortable at the same time. They actually feel really good. I prefer these over Benchmades. I mean, they do stick out more in a Benchmade, so there's that. If you don't like it to stick out past the scale, you may not like that. As you can see, they stick out quite a bit in comparison to a bug out, which doesn't stick out nearly as far, but this is much easier to grab a hold of. Or here's a Mini Freak. It may show up a little better because it sticks out a little further. But yeah. But the tabs work really well. The spring tension feels really good on this. It's a little stiffer than a bug out as a comparison, but not terribly stiff at all. The flipper action's fantastic. The jimping on the flipper is done really well. You can push button it, although it works much better to light switch it. Push button just doesn't give you a whole lot of leverage. Light switch and that blade just flies out of there. The action's actually pretty good as long as you don't want to use the thumb studs. The ergonomics are pretty good too. They're really good actually. And this jimping right here, some of the best jimping I've felt. And it's on a SOG. It is so good, so grippy to your skin. You're not sliding your thumb across this. I mean, it's super, super. It's not sharp enough to where it hurts, but it's just super grippy. Makes your thumb just lock in there. So that jimping is done extremely well. The jimping here is really good too. It's not as aggressive as this on the tang of the blade or on the spine of the blade, but it's still pretty grippy and it works really well. All right, I think that's all the goods. Yeah, overall it's a nice knife. It really is. The big issue with this knife are the thumb studs. There's nothing wrong with the thumb studs. Sometimes, see that worked perfectly, right? That worked perfectly. Sometimes it'll just get to where you can't get the damn blade to come out. And I don't know what's causing that, but right now it's working fine now. I'm recording a video. There it goes. Yeah. It's something, I can't figure out what's going on with it. It's got to have something to do with the springs acting as a detemp. Sometimes it just gets into a position to where the thumb studs just won't, you can't deploy it. Like right now, I'm pushing as hard as I can to where it's digging into my thumb. But if I hit the flipper, perfect. I have no idea it's doing it right now again. I can't deploy it by thumb studs. Do the flipper, fine. So very strange. Very strange thing, and I haven't disassembled this knife. I may do a disassembly of it to see if I can get inside there and figure out what's causing that to happen. And the thumb studs are actually pretty grippy also, to where if they worked properly, the action worked properly with the thumb studs, they'd be perfect. But they're so grippy that when you're sitting here struggling to deploy it, it actually will hurt your thumb. But I think any thumb stud, when you're having to put that much pressure on it to get it to try to break free, it's going to probably be uncomfortable. But strange, that's what's so strange, is whenever it does that and I can't get it to come out using the studs, all I got to do is hit the flipper and it flies out perfectly. It never does that on the flipper. It's always great action on the flipper. Fantastic action on the flipper, actually. So, yeah. Not sure what that is. I'm sure I can take this apart and correct it, more than likely, I would think. Well, I'm not sure. But there's something going on with the springs, because when it does break free and it does that, you can feel the springs. Yeah. But this knife hasn't been disassembled yet, so this is how the knife will come in from the manufacturer. I can't say they're all going to be like this. I haven't watched other people's reviews of this knife, so it may just be this one. I would definitely suggest going and watching some other people's reviews before you pick one of these up to see if they have the same issue with these thumb studs. Because if it's common with this knife and you like thumb stud deployment, you do not want this knife. Okay, but if you just like a flipper and you like a crossbar lock or axis lock on a Benchmade, this is really good. It's really good. As you can see, no issues whatsoever. Fantastic action with the flipper. So overall, you know, let's talk about the price real quick also. SOG MSRP is $100, $99.95 or something like that. You can pick these up on Amazon for about $75. At $75 with S35VN, I don't think it's a terrible price. You know, if the thumb studs work properly, it'd be a fantastic deal, in my opinion. It'd be a great deal for S35VN. But, you know, with the issue with the thumb studs, you know, I would say for S35VN for $75, that's not a terrible deal. I'm not going to say it's overpriced, so I'd say it's a fair price for what you're getting here. For the ergos, the flipper action, and yeah, it's not a bad knife. It's not terrible. It does not suck at all. So as long as you don't use the thumb studs. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. If you guys have this knife, anyone else has this knife, comment below and let me know. Do you have that same issue, or is this just something going on with this one in particular? I wanted to do my overview before I watched other people's videos because I didn't want to be influenced by other people's videos. But now that I've recorded this video, I'm going to go watch other people's videos myself also and see if this is a common thing with these SOGs. Because, yeah, it's kind of a shame because I'm a thumb stud guy. I definitely prefer thumb studs over flipper. And when it's working right, it's great. But it doesn't always work right. All right, guys, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button for me, and I will see you guys on the next one.